morning, everyone. Welcome to the second day on this third international conference on the progress of regenerative medicine and its cultural impact. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce to all of you His Eminence, Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the Secretary of State of His Holiness.
Thank you, Monsignor. Good morning to everybody. Your Eminence, Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to address a word of greeting to you gathered in this special place. I am delighted that people from different countries, religions, and cultures have come together seeking to make us of all more sensitive to the problem of rare diseases. Yesterday, you looked at illnesses impacting children around the world. It was a day filled with hope and inspiration. Today, the conference agenda takes you to the new frontiers of cancer treatment. In many ways, the history of cancer treatment offers a perfect reflection on the evolution and potential of cellular therapies for countless diseases and dangerous medical conditions. As new technologies emerge, we must consider how they will impact our society and how we will make them available to those in need, and what we are doing that is within our reach to bring healthcare to less developed nations. Are we equipped to treat people when healthcare costs continue to rise? What role should insurance companies and governments play as the financiers and regulators? Those are only some of the questions you will focus on today. Before today's program starts, however, I should like to make a presentation. The Holy Father, Pope Francis, has accepted the request of His Eminence Cardinal Gianfranco Ravasi, President of the Pontifical Council for Culture, and appointed Dr. Robin Smith, Dame Commander of the Pontifical Equestrian Order of Saint Sylvester Pope and Martyr. The recognition is intended to honor Dr. Smith for her active involvement as a member of the Board of Trustees of the Vatican Science and Faith Foundation, and for her contribution to building bridges and fostering a dialogue between science, faith, and culture. This is also a sign of recognition for her constant support of the scientific and cultural activities promoted by the Pontifical Council for Culture. To all of you, I would like to wish a very successful and inspirational day of reflection. Thank you very much.
I would like to ask His Eminence Cardinal Ravasi to read the motivation in original language, which is Latin, without translation.
Franciscus Pontifex Maximus, precibus nobis adibitis libenti animo concedentes, equibus te accepimus de ecclesiae reique catholice bono atque incremento bene merita messe, ut patens grate nostre voluntatis testimonium promamus, te, Robin Smith, e federatis civitatibus Americe septentrionalis, dominam commendatariam, ordinis Sancti Silvestri Pape, eligimus, facimus, ac renuntiamus, tibique facultatem tribuimus, privilegiis omnibus utendi, que cum ac dignitate sunt coniuncta. Datum Rome, apud Sanctum Petrum, die 30 mensis martii anno bismillesimo sextodecimo. Petrus Parolin, Secretarius Status.
Thank you so much, Cardinal Parolin. Cardinal Ravasi, I'm humbled and deeply touched to stand before you today and receive this great honor. It's been a privilege to work with Cardinal Ravasi, Monsignor Trafny, and the Pontifical Council for Culture on this mission to create a dialogue around the world about adult stem cells, cell therapy, and between science and faith. I'm simply a voice, and it's really the scientists around here and the physicians and around the world who are doing the heavy lifting, and certainly the patients who are suffering around the world who have diabetes, autoimmune disorders, cancers, rare diseases in their families. So on behalf of all of them and the trustees for the STEM for Life Foundation, I accept this incredible honor and reaffirm our commitment to the great partnership we have with the Vatican and our joint mission to foster health and healing throughout the world using cell therapies. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Wonderful, thank you.
So, since His Eminence, the Secretary of State, has other commitments, he has to leave, but we thank you, Your Eminence, to be here and to address your remarks to all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, and all the best. Bye-bye.
So welcome to day 2, everybody. I hope you had a great time in Ambassador Phillips' extraordinary home last night and got at least a little bit of sleep. Sleep is something that we're going to hear how important it is, and I really do hope you did get some sleep because we're going to actually measure it later. So it's going to be a very interesting day we have ahead. We've scheduled breaks throughout the day, so do your best to keep your volume of your phone down and not use the phone in this room. And I must remind you, taping and filming today of any sort is strictly prohibited, especially downstairs. So please honor that request. They're very sensitive to this, and it's important that we respect that. The photos and video will be taken today by their staff, and we will have access to the photos. So we'll have a few sessions this morning, and then in the 11:05 break, we'll go downstairs to hear Vice President Biden to talk about his moonshot program, as well as then have an audience with Pope Francis. After the audience, we invite everyone to stay and have lunch. Time may be a bit compressed, so we have bag lunches versus hot meals. Do whatever you're comfortable with, be with your family, and then we'll be back upstairs by 2 o'clock for the afternoon sessions. Today is a very exciting day, so we'll jump right into it. Yesterday, we examined impacting children around the world. It was a day filled with hope and inspiration, and I'd like to thank all of the patients, families, and doctors who participated. I also would like to congratulate Denny Sanford, Kelby Krabenhoff, and their team at Sanford Health for being honored with the 2016 Pontifical Key Innovator Award. Today, we're going to take you into the new frontiers of cancer, the many ways that we're looking to cure this disease. The history of cancer treatment offers a perfect reflection on the evolution and potential of cell therapies for countless diseases. Bone marrow transplantation has been used for over 50 years. Every day, it seems that we hear more headlines about immunotherapies. So it's no longer just about stem cells and bone marrow transplant. We're developing new, novel techniques using cells in our immune system, including T cells, dendritic cells, natural killer cells, and genetically modified cells, and we're harnessing them to deliver them in a myriad of ways. We're actually teaching our body to search and destroy cancer cells, and the progress is stunning. 1 out of every 2 men in this room and 1 out of every 3 women in this room will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. And people are also living longer. So while the incidence of new diagnoses of cancers have been 14 million 4 years ago, it's expected to rise to 24 million by 2035. Today is about new discovery, big data, and communication, how we can learn from one another and collaborate more effectively worldwide, how the byproduct of scientific acceleration is going to affect the society in the future. To start our day, it is my great pleasure to introduce one of the most respected journalists, Katie Couric, who will keep us on track over the next 2 days and help us frame the issues and show us how health advocacy can make a real difference. Katie's work in cancer started when she had her first personal experience with her husband who died of colon cancer in 1998. And at 42 years of age, Katie became one of the leading voices in colon cancer. In 2000, she underwent a live, on-air colonoscopy, triggering a national surge in cancer colon screening, a phenomenon that we know as the Katie Couric effect. Just 1 year after this historic event, Katie was touched with cancer again. Her sister, Virginia, State Senator Emily Couric, died of pancreatic cancer. Determined to make a difference and honor her loved ones, Katie founded Stand Up to Cancer, one of the most influential charities anywhere in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome Katie Couric.
Hi, everyone. Well, this is a new setting for me, so thank you, Robin, and thank you. Good morning, first of all. I haven't said that in a few years. Good morning. I'd like to thank STEM for Life, obviously, and the Vatican's Pontifical Council for Culture for bringing together such a truly impressive group of people, scientists, advocates, ethicists, philanthropists, faith leaders, and government officials in this sacred setting. I'm beyond honored to be a part of a program that includes the Vice President as well as His Holiness Pope Francis. So this is a first for me, and I'm thrilled to be here. As many of you know, the Holy Father named himself after St. Francis of Assisi, and as I gather my thoughts for this conference, I look back at my journey as a cancer advocate. I read about St. Francis and some of his amazing work. I knew he was passionate about animals and the environment, but a quote I stumbled upon really resonated with me, and it feels appropriate for this occasion. He said, "People lose everything they leave behind in this world, but they carry with them the rewards of charity." I know from experience how much truth there is in that teaching. And aside from raising my daughters, I think my fight to eradicate cancer has been by far my most rewarding work. And so I thought I'd just spend a couple of minutes this morning telling you a little bit about my journey and some of the work that I've done as a result of the losses that Robin just described. I think it began in 1997. My late husband, Jay Monahan, was just 41 years old. Our daughters, Ellie and Carrie were 5 and 1. At the time, I was the co-anchor of the Today Show, then the top morning news program in the United States. It's gone a little downhill since I left. I'm kidding. Don't tweet that. Life was good. In fact, life was great. Healthy children, fulfilling careers, and the perks of a network job, including a sun-filled Park Avenue apartment, were daily proof of our good fortune. My husband was seemingly healthy too, except for some fatigue, and with 2 little kids and a demanding job practicing law and working as a legal commentator for television, who wouldn't be tired? He also had a persistent, sensitive stomach, but I remember from our very first date, he always carried around a ubiquitous roll of Tums. I didn't take it personally. But then in early April, on a cool spring afternoon, bearing the annual promise of renewal, rebirth, and warmer days ahead, my husband was diagnosed with colon cancer, stage 4. In retrospect, those symptoms I mentioned were probably warning signs that we had missed. After all, he was just 41 years old. Then, as you can imagine, the news of Jay's diagnosis was a life-shattering moment, etched in my memory the same crystal clear way people remember exactly where they were and what they were doing when John F. Kennedy was shot or the World Trade Towers fell on 9/11. And ever since that day, my life has been divided up between 2 distinct periods, BC and AC, before cancer and after cancer. As Jay began treatment, I embarked on a crash course in the language of this disease. He was given a drug called 5-FU and leucovorin, the first-line treatment for this disease since the 1950s. I couldn't believe that something new had not been developed since then. So using all the journalistic skills I had accrued during the course of my career, I tracked down the leading scientists at every institution and found out about every clinical trial that might have helped. I even called researchers in Israel, desperate for a magic bullet that would make my husband well, or at least keep his cancer at bay until a huge breakthrough came along. Jay faced his illness with extraordinary courage and grace and humor, but he died on a cold morning in January of 1998, just 9 months after his diagnosis. I will never forget the look on the doctor's face at the hospital who told me that my brave, handsome 42-year-old husband had died. By then, our daughters were 6 and Carrie had just turned 2, and I incomprehensibly was a widow, something I was really only familiar with from watching the Brady Bunch growing up. And then, as Robin mentioned, 2 years later, cancer struck my family again. My oldest sister, Emily, who was the real star of our family, was a member of the state Senate in Virginia and a rising star in Virginia politics as well. She had been running for lieutenant governor at the time with Senator Mark Warner, and many thought she would eventually become the Old Dominion's first female governor. Instead, Emily made a different announcement at the time. She'd been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. She died in October of 2001, leaving behind a grieving husband and family, including a stunned and angry sister, and that was me, actually sisters. You know, I never expected to be a cancer crusader, but sometimes you find your calling, and I think sometimes your calling finds you. And I knew I had to do something to spare families the pain mine had endured. So I started by speaking with Jay's doctors and meeting with leading cancer advocates to pick their brains. They advised me not to try to build something from the ground floor up, given my demanding job and the responsibilities of raising my 2 little girls. So I teamed up with the Entertainment Industry Foundation, which is Hollywood's leading charitable organization, and established the National Colorectal Cancer Research Alliance to raise awareness about the life-saving value of screening, as well as raise research dollars for better treatments. I had a built-in bully pulpit thanks to the Today Show, so we decided to televise my colonoscopy to help educate the public about the importance of screening. Millions of people watched that day, hopefully not while they were having breakfast. Now, following that on-air colonoscopy, researchers at the University of Michigan found that, along with my other awareness efforts, contributed to a 20% increase in the number of procedures that have been performed nationwide. And they called it the Couric effect, but I always refer to it as the Jay Monahan effect. But as a result of these increased screenings, the incidence of colon cancer from 2001 to 2010 in those 50 and older dropped by more than 30%. Like most people, I like to get compliments and hear nice things they have to say. But the best compliment I've ever heard, and fortunately for me, I hear it often, is, I got a colonoscopy because of you. Some people tell me it actually saved their lives. I heard it last fall when I was covering John Kasich's campaign in New Hampshire. I heard it when I was having lunch a couple of months ago at a restaurant in my neighborhood. I heard it during intermission when I was recently at a Broadway show. Those encounters never get old, and I'm so grateful that I've been able to help people take care of their health and help them live to tell me about it. Jay used to say I was born on a sunny day, and while I am still hardwired for happiness, cancer has caused the dark clouds to roll in far too many times. Becoming an advocate for awareness, prevention, and research has provided a soothing balm for my heartache. But in 2008, I decided to expand my efforts to include all cancers, so I joined forces with 8 other truly type A women who could not accept the fact that little progress had been made in treating too many types of cancer. So together we founded Stand Up to Cancer to try to change the face of cancer research. We schemed about how the entertainment community could get people all over the country involved. Executives at 3 of the broadcast networks agreed to donate their most precious commodity, airtime, to help inform the public and raise funds for research. And we were off to the races. Early on in our planning, we posed this question to a very wise group of scientists. How should the money we raise be invested to really accelerate the pace of cancer research? What approach would get new treatments to the patients who desperately need them more quickly? The answer was surprisingly simple. They told us teamwork, well-funded scientists with a common goal, rigorous oversight, and tight timeframes to achieve results quickly. We wanted to change the paradigm of cancer research by focusing on collaboration so scientists could compete against cancer instead of competing against each other. Shortly after we held our first television fundraising event in September of 2008, we announced 5 dream teams, enlisting the best of the best doctors and scientists from different institutions and disciplines to get out of their silos and work together on teams. Fast forward 8 years later to today, 46 outlets, including broadcast cable networks and streaming services like Yahoo, carried our fundraising telecast in 2014. There are 19 dream teams, over 1,100 scientists working on Stand Up to Cancer funded research, including several you'll hear from later in this conference, based at 131 different institutions like Harvard Medical School, MD Anderson, Memorial Sloan Kettering, and other leading institutions around the world. Yes, that's right, around the world. We have dream teams in the United Kingdom and Canada and the Netherlands, and researchers working with us as far away as Australia. Through corporate individuals and grassroots funding, we have raised over $420 million for these scientists. And since we launched, 2 new treatments that resulted from our research have been approved by the US Food and Drug Administration. The pace of this progress is truly unprecedented. In the United States, as we all know, there's great excitement about the potential of cancer research. Vice President Biden's commitment to a cancer moonshot has helped make the public more optimistic about our ability to fight and, dare I say, beat cancer. Progress is being made by leaps and bounds. We're talking about immunotherapy this morning, which is an approach we at Stand Up are particularly jazzed about. So jazzed that we've invested over $75 million in immunotherapy drugs. What was once ridiculed as a pie-in-the-sky concept is now truly revolutionizing the field of cancer research. We're at an incredible inflection point, the intersection of basic biology, genetics, technology, and something called convergence, bringing in heretofore foreign disciplines like engineering, math, and physics to expand our arsenal of weapons in this war. We have to take advantage of this moment in time because almost 8 million people worldwide still die of cancer every single year, and that's simply unacceptable. Thankfully, there are passionate advocates, generous philanthropists, and devoted government and faith leaders who are working tirelessly in this fight to end cancer. And then, of course, there are the unsung heroes, the brilliant and dedicated scientists who work day and night to find new ways to help patients and unlock the mysteries of this terrible disease. I am in awe of what they do, and it is my privilege to share the major strides that they've made and the hope that they've given to so many people. I began with a quote from St. Francis, so I thought I'd close with a quote from Pope Francis, a man who has made a megawatt impact on this world in such a short period of time. In his simple, profound style, he said, quote, "In the face of unjust and painful situations, faith brings us the light which scatters the darkness." I have tremendous faith that by working together and putting aside ego and self-aggrandizement, and yes, politics, we can find the light that will ultimately end the darkness of cancer. Thank you so much.